Yes guys, welcome to my Premier League 24-25 prediction. In today's video, we are going to go through everything on your screen, going from bottom to top on exactly where I think, this is my opinion, where I think, where I think certain teams will be finishing this season. Let's jump straight into it. So, starting with who will be coming dead last. Rubbish, get better at football. I'm going Southampton. Now, I'm not going to delve into every single team and their transfers and why I think certain things, but Southampton are very leaky. I think they've made the least amount of signings so far, and I do think they might be the worst. Now, having said that, Leicester might be fighting some financial fair play situations, so they might get a deduction. I still think they outperform Southampton. Coming into the next place, the 19th place, the second to worst team in the league, I do believe will be Leicester, mainly because of the points deductions they might get. They have made some signings, but they also lost one of their best players, so it is going to be difficult for them this season. And I don't want to predict all of the promoted clubs to go down. So, obviously, there's one that hasn't been said yet. I am not predicting them to go down, only because I don't want a repeat of last year, where all three teams that went up went straight back down. And also, sometimes, you know, football can be a little bit wild. So, if you predict exactly what you think will happen, then that might not necessarily happen. Do you know what I mean? Because football is slightly unpredictable, you have to throw a bit of a rogue shout in there, just because you minimise the points that you'd gain and lose by being miles out. See what I'm saying? Anyway, so, coming to the other team I think is going to get relegated, and this is going to be a hot take, and I'm sorry, Nottingham Forest fans, but I think you might be going down this year. And what's crazy is they've actually got a really good team, especially on paper, and I quite like the manager, but they've been skirting on the edge, same as Everton. They've been skirting on the edge for a little bit too long, and I think maybe they'll get a couple of injuries, they'll slip up, and they sort of got found out at the end of last year, and they got a long string of like losses and draws in a row, and it looked a little bit, ooh. But yeah, this year I think might be the year they go down. Now it will be Ipswich. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not push the boat out. They're gonna avoid relegation by the skin of their teeth. But I do think they will avoid relegation. Coming on to the next team, it's Everton. I think they can be quite good. And I think it's more, not them being much better than last year. I just think they're going to be consistently draws, clean sheets, couple of 1-0 wins here and there, better than the four teams below them. Right, now, I'm actually going to have to sort of look a bit more. Those ones I sort of had in my brain, that's roughly what I had. The rest of this table, not a Scooby-Doo. So, let's look at what we've got to play with here. Bournemouth, Wolves, Brentford, Fulham. I think they are the next four, I think. Bournemouth just lost Solanke. If they don't replace him, which potentially might be Eddie Nketiah, at the moment of filming he's not signed, they might have a bit of a rough season. He was quite literally their goal scorer. So I am going to put them next. Controversial, potentially. I actually like their system. Yet again, I like their manager. They actually do play good football. They play and they win quite a lot of games. They're quite good. They're quite hard to play away. Obviously, them at home. But yeah, there you go. Solanke's gone. So's all your goals, mate. Right, next, I think Brentford. Mainly because of two reasons. Ivan Toney, if he stays, I don't think will be the Ivan Toney of like 2 years ago. He came back, obviously he had an okay Euros, you know. He did assist a goal, fair play. He did score a penalty. Not going to do that well, I mean, he probably would do that actually for Brentford. But I just don't think he's going to have great form for Brentford. And then if they sell him, they still got to replace him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think either way it's looking great for Brentford. So, I mean, still, what is that? 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. It's not terrible. Then I believe we go Fulham, right? Fulham. 13th, Fulham. Oh, but I haven't said Wolves yet. And I don't think Wolves are going to do... no, do you know what? Wolves, then Fulham. Yeah, again, I'm not going to go massively into it, but I do actually quite like Wolves' team. Emil Smith-Rowe's gone there, Alex Iwobi, Muniz. They actually have... I know they've lost Polinia, and they lost someone else who's a big starter, but I just think they're going to do quite well. Not amazing, not like out of the box, whoa, fill them with the incredible, but I do think they will do quite well. So fair play to them. And Wolves just lost Pedro Neto. I would say he's a big deal, one of their best players, but he has got a bit of an injury history, so it's not a massive loss because he didn't play loads and loads of games. But still a loss. They won't do amazing, they won't do bad, it's just there. Right. The one team that doesn't make the top 10 out of all the ones I'm looking at, I genuinely believe is going to be Brighton. I am not sold on the manager, who is quite good, or the team, post-injuries, are going to be able to beat the teams below there. I don't. I genuinely don't. West Ham are better than them. I actually think Palace are better than them now. And then the rest of them are literally the top 7. So or top 8. So I think that's where they finish. I'm actually quite happy with that so far. I'm quite proud of that. Right, next. I think Palace come 10th. I think that's a solid. They come 10th last year. They've got a good team. Solid structure. I just think they'll be decent. I know they've lost Elise. Eze's still going to cook. They might still make some more signings, although they might lose Gahey. But then they've got money to buy someone else. I still think they'll be solid. Next, I think, will be West Ham in 9th. Yet again, made a bunch of signings, have lost a few players, I think to financial fair play issues to make sure they balance the books a little bit. But either way, they've brought in some players. I'm not really worried about them. They'll do solid 9th. Right. Now, looking at those teams, who do I think is going to come 8th? I think that's right. I think out of those teams there, boys, Aston Villa might fall off a little bit of a cliff. They've lost Douglas Luiz, which is quite literally the glue that got all their wins. Everything went through that man. Pretty much, anyway. Pretty much everything went through that man. And then they replaced him with not a like-for-like player. They replaced, like an 8 with a 6. And it's just not the same. It's not the same. It's a good signing, but it's not the position they lost. So I do think, and Champions League football, if they get a few injuries, their squad depth's not amazing. And I don't want to look into pre-season, but they did look a little bit shaky in pre-season, but we don't look too much into pre-season. I do think they will fall off quite massively. 8th. In 7th, oh God, 7th. I put Liverpool low down last year and I paid the price for it, but let's just do, I can organise it a little bit here. I'm just going to put things roughly. It could be Man United, It could be United. Who has a better team, Man United or Liverpool? Who's got a better Do you know what? Chelsea. Now, that was difficult because Chelsea have so many players, I don't think they know what their starting 11 is going to be. This is the same issue they had when Poch was the manager, the same issue they've had for the last 3 seasons. They've got too many players. And when you've got too many players, you've got too many players trying to all play at the same time. Yes, they can rotate them, but you almost don't want to rotate them when you have that big a squad. You need to figure out your starting 11, and then you can make super subs here and there when they're getting a bit tired. But when you've got 2 starting 11s, basically. I mean, not literally, because their team's not that good. But when you've got that many players that will want minutes, and he's got to try and figure out, okay, actually, those 2 don't work together, but let's try him and him. Oh, they work together, but that means the centre mid's a little bit fragile. We need to change that about. Carnage. I don't think they're going to have a settled starting 11 for at least the first 10, 15 games, which could be a lot of draws, losses, maybe a win here and there. It's not great. Yes, Cole Palmer and Nkunku might cook, which I genuinely think they will, but not better than those teams below. Right. Next controversial take. I actually think Man United, Tottenham, Newcastle City, Arsenal all finish above Liverpool. I think this is Liverpool's fall-off season. They're going to start to rebuild. They haven't made a single signing yet. And I do think that is going to really punish them. Everyone's getting older. We've got players on 1-year contracts that could leave in January as well. Trent, etc., Van Dijk. They might not actually leave in January, but then would you want your players to leave on a free or maybe a pre-contract before? I don't know, you know what I mean? So I don't think all the players' heads are going to be in it. The new manager, Onslaught? I don't know. I think it could be good. Is it top 4? No. It's Europa League. Yet again, it could go either way. They get in Europa League. Right, then, the team that doesn't make the top 4. Now, yet again, controversial take. I think a lot of people have been putting Newcastle top 4. And I understand because they have quite a good starting 11. But after that, I don't feel like they've got much facilities in the background. Where I actually do believe Man United have a little bit more squad depth. And they've just made good signings. Newcastle could still make some signings, but I don't think they get top 4. I think they just miss out. Progressing a lot considering they finished like 8th last year or 7th. So they've gone up to 5th. It's progression, but yeah, because I think they finished 7th, which was Europa League, or 6th. But then United won the FA Cup, so they knocked them out, so they got no European football, which will help them. But I do think United finish above them. Right, the top 4, lads. The top 4. The controversial top 4. The fact I've put United top 4, by the way, a lot of people would not have them there. I think they'd have Chelsea, Liverpool and Newcastle probably above Man United, most people. But not this guy. Because football is a weird and wonderful place where teams win and lose and draw games all over the gaff. And I actually do think Man United, with the new signings and less injuries, although I have just seen Malasia's obviously gone, Luke Shaw's gone, and Højlund's gone. So they haven't got a striker and they don't have any left backs. So they're going to have to play like either youth players or they're going to have to play like Dalot or Mazraoui out of position. So it's an interesting one, but it's also not a me problem, so who cares? So, yeah, of those 4, Man United are coming 4th. They'll bloody love that. The fact they might get Champions League football, they'll be gas. So you're welcome. You are welcome. Who comes 3rd, 2nd and 1st? Now, I am an Arsenal fan, but I genuinely do believe Tottenham might have a bit of a good season, which is horrible to say. But I genuinely do think they will. I think they have a very good chance of doing very well, which is horrible. I think their team's good. They've made good signings. They've got no European football. Little dig. And I do genuinely believe they will be better than Man United. They will be better than Newcastle. They will be better than Liverpool, better than Chelsea. I do think they might be a low-key sort of underdog here. And they will get back in the Champions League. No European football. As long as they can keep off the injury list. Like, they had a great... Like, their first 10 games last season, outstanding. And then they just got riddled of injuries. And then fell off a cliff and everyone battered them. So, I'm predicting them to come 3rd. Now, the big one, boys. Who is going to win the league and who is going to not? I would say bottle it, boys, but that word's a little bit triggering for an Arsenal fan. I believe, lads, that Manchester City will, in fact... Can this move over, please? Hello? I do believe, boys, Man City will not win the league. Arsenal are going to win the league. It's coming home. Come on. No, I actually do genuinely believe. I think Arsenal do have the best chance of winning the league. Of any league that we should have or could have won previously, this is our best shot. We have arguably one of the best backlines, one of the best keepers in the league. We've now got lots more squad depth as well in positions. Defence, midfield. If we sign Mikel Moreno, oh my God. The squad depth we've got. And then attack, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli, Jesus, Havertz. Like, the only thing we are missing is like an out and out number 9. Like, I love Jesus. He's not a clinical goal scorer. I love Havertz. He's not really a clinical goal scorer. They both fill in a role. Like, you'd be like, you know, Osimhen's injured. At least we've got Havertz. You don't want to be going, we've got Havertz. Oh, at least we got Jesus. Do you know what I mean? It's not quite the same. But yes, I genuinely do believe Arsenal will win the league. Man City 2nd. Tottenham 3rd, United 4th, Newcastle 5th, Liverpool 6th, Chelsea 7th, Aston Villa 8th, West Ham 9th, Palace 10th, Brighton 11th, Fulham 12th, Wolves 13th, Brentford 14th, Bournemouth 15th, Everton 16th, Ipswich 17th, Forest 18th, Leicester 19th, Southampton 20th. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed my prediction. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.